me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dream. Right now. Inspirational perspective.
Ultimately, what we're talking about today is the recipe for a high-quality life. The recipe for a high-quality life. And part of what I want to do is walk these men through what you all know, if you're a steady listener, and if this is your first time listening, what I call the 4 pillars of life. The 4 pillars of life. And I want you to think about these pillars like a table. You got legs on a table. And in order for the table to be solid, in order for you to build on the table, stand on the table, do anything on that table, you need those 4 legs to be even and solid. And if one of them is short, well, you got a shaky table. Yep. Not much you can hold on that table. And so the 4 pillars of life are, first, your health and your overall well-being. Number 2, your relationships. But most importantly, that romantic relationship that we have with our wives, because you already know if that one ain't right, well, your boys can be in your corner, but you still got to go home, right? And so that romantic relationship, but also how we build relationships with others, because that has a lot to do with the next pillar, which is work and money. How you handle your work, how you handle your career, but also how you handle your money. And everybody want to have money, but they don't understand that it also takes all those pillars in totality to really have clear financial security, clear financial stability, but also clear financial clarity, which most people are missing. Even a lot of folks who so-called got money don't necessarily know where it's going. And then number 4, you have your purpose and spirituality. And so I'm excited to have these gentlemen in the studio in a moment. I'm going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. But first, I just have to say this, you all. For those of you all who, again, have been listening to me for a while, when this show came together, I was on the phone with Matt Sapala. You guys know him, and he'll be in the studio in a moment. I was on the phone with Matt Sapala, and he was like, I'm in town, let's have lunch. Oh, man, you're in town. And so we just got to talking, catching up. And I was telling him, like, man, this Sunday I'm talking about quality of life. You should, come to the studio. Let's chop it up about quality of life. And he's like, yeah, I like that. And so we were finishing our conversation on Saturday, and he was like, speaking of quality of life, I'd like to have 3 young men who I work with on a regular basis come into the studio, and let's all have a conversation. And when he said you all's names, I was like, absolutely. But here's what I thought right away. When I hung the phone up, I'm like, man, the next call I would have made was to my mom. And all 3 of you all knew my mom well.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And the next phone call I would have made was to my mom, because she would have been absolutely giddy this morning to see you all in the studio with me, to listen to you all in the studio with me, to glean knowledge, man, and just, I had a smile on my face. It's like that the happiness and the pain of that she can't experience this. But at the same time, I just know, man, she's, in spirit, smiling right now.
Long live Auntie Mildred, man.
Yeah, man. She had lots of love for you gentlemen. Yeah. She talked about you all often individually, how proud she was of you all. And often, she's like, Linnell, you gotta get to know these guys better. And so I'm happy to have you all in the studio this morning. Yeah, absolutely. Maurice, I'm going to start with you, brother. Go ahead and tell us, who you are in the world, what you do, and who you used to be. Because we all come from something. And here's the reason, Maurice, I think this is important. I always try to tell my story, who I used to be, because people will say, well, of course Linnell will say that. He doesn't have to overcome anything, right? And it's like, nah, I have to overcome quite a bit, and I'm still working, right? Mm-hmm. And I want them to understand that you gentlemen have overcome some things, and you're still working. So, Maurice, please.
Cool. Appreciate that, Linnell. Maurice Hansberry here. I'm homegrown from Chicago, southeast side. I'm very proud of that. Didn't grow up too much. Single family home, raising me and my sister. 17 years old, decided to take the journey, go to college in Miami with a one-way ticket, $120 in my pocket.
120 in your pocket.
120
in
my
called
pocket.
Faith.
Definitely faith.
Yeah.
And I never been on a plane before that.
Wow.
Yeah. So, funny story. The first plane ride I ended up going on was Southwest, and I ended up working for Southwest later. That's another story. But yeah, man, majored in computers because that was a .com era, early 2000s.
Okay.
And 9/11 happened, kind of shook up a lot of different things.
Yeah, man.
Realized getting a college degree didn't really pay off to getting a job with the same degree. Working for $9.50 an hour, just hopping from job to job. First 3 jobs got.
So wait a second. So did you graduate or you just kind of okay?
I graduated 4
years.
So
you graduated, got an undergrad.
Yep.
And you were part of that 2000 graduate class, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. If you graduated then, you said you were making how much an hour?
$9.50 an hour straight out of college.
Wow.
With a college degree.
So college degree.
Yep.
And what?
In management information systems.
So MIS degree.
MIS.
You had an MIS degree making $9.50.
Yeah, they didn't tell me I needed to go pay $15,000 for some certifications. Cisco.
I know you were mad, weren't you?
Just a little bit. Yeah, because I didn't have $15,000.
Yeah. So you got loans, I'm sure.
Yep.
And you had this promise that was made to you.
Yep.
Especially with management information systems.
Yes.
I mean, that hey, when you get out, you'll be getting paper.
Just a little bit.
And that didn't come to fruition.
No, definitely didn't.
So then what happened next?
So I ended up, I ended up working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I thought I was going to take over, working 16-hour days. And I decided to move back home in 2008. And we all know what happened in 2008.
Man, you couldn't catch a break.
I couldn't catch a break. So I left the palm trees for some cold weather and the recession.
Oh, man, talk about a double slap.
Double slap. By the grace of God, man, just kept at it. Just fast forward, started making 6 figures. But I had no purpose.
Okay.
Working for a large organization, 12,000 employees, 21 people that just look like me. Nobody that look like me, talk like me, act like me.
So when did you start making 6 figures? Like what was the time frame?
So I came back in 2008. I started making 6 figures 2015.
In 2015. So It took 7 years.
7 years out of college to make 6 figures.
7 years. Wow. So you came back 2008. When did you graduate college?
2004.
In 2004. And right now, just for young persons listening, I really want you to hear this. Because often one of the things we talk about, I always have Attorney Fenton on the show. Okay. And you always talk about patience. One of the things I talk about is urgent patience and how so many people, they want it overnight, right? So they flip. We're going to talk about that, how they flip to different things because they want, like, I didn't get 6 figures here, I didn't get 6. And it takes some steadiness. And as we talk about the recipe for quality of life, anybody listening, I want you to write down consistency. But please continue, Maurice. So you're making 6 figures in 2015 for the first time in your life after having graduated in 2004, 11 years later. Yep. With that promise, the promise was you would have that a lot sooner. So 11 years later, you're finally cracking 6 figures, and it sounds like you're not happy.
I'm miserable.
Miserable. See, so hold on. Because this is the other thing, right? And again, we're talking about a recipe for a high-quality life. And a high-quality life is not just money.
No.
And by the way, these are all gentlemen. You can see them shaking their heads in the studio. who would you all say you have money today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have money today, but you've had the experience, so have I, right, of making lots of money and just not happy.
Yes.
That's true.
Not happy, right? And so we'll come back to that, but please continue.
Yeah, I was miserable, sick all the time. I didn't know what was wrong. And one day I just woke up and quit.
Wow.
And
now, when you quit, were you married? Did you have?
Yeah.
Did you have children?
Yes. I wouldn't recommend doing that without a plan, especially when you have a wife and responsibilities. I just bought a house a year before, and but I was just so fed up.
I'm sure emotional, man. Like, you know, emotional capacity taken. And I think this is what people, especially young people, have to realize when they're saying, okay, I want to build a life. Because what I hear most of the time is I want to make money. Mm-hmm. And what I'm getting from you, Maurice, is that, not quite. Not quite.
Not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned, I know you're going to talk about earlier, relationships and, you know, purpose and, you know, the 4 pillars.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was missing.
Got you.
So the money didn't mean anything to me without, I didn't have a connection to money.
Got you.
Makes sense. And so, I quit and went home. It was the happiest day of my life at that point.
Not making any money.
Not making any money. Had money in the bank. Had a little savings. I was like, I'll figure it out. And just fast forward, working at Southwest Airlines, a baggage handler for $10.28 an hour. We had a new contract, so it bumped me up to $12.28 an hour.
So you went from making 6 figures, back down to making $12.50 an hour.
It's $3 more than I was out of college, so I was improving.
Yeah, but it's 11 years later.
Facts.
Yeah,
but I was happy.
But you were happy.
At least I thought.
Okay. So now what happens? I mean, because obviously in order to be a high-value man, you can't be making $12.50. So something must have changed.
Yes. So I refused to take another position like that in corporate America, making 6 figures and being stressed out. So I just said, I'm going to figure it out. Well, I figured out took about a year, and then tragedy hit our life. My birthday, I never forget this, September 8th. I didn't lose. My father had a major stroke.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that.
That's okay. And then 3.5 months after that, 3 days before Christmas, my mother-in-law lost her fight to cancer. And I watched one of the 2 hardest working people I know, one not being able to work anymore, and another losing her life. 30-plus years in the industry, did not leave a legacy.
Wow.
And it was like it's like my life flashed before my eyes. Like, man, what am I on this same road?
So real quick, Maurice, define what do you mean? Like, how do you define legacy when you say your parents didn't leave a legacy? Like, how do you define that, man?
Legacy is meaning that I'm leaving my next generation in a better position than I was, being able to do the things that maybe we desire to do, especially based off your work ethic and your vision and clarity on life. Yeah.
So 2 of the hardest people you've ever seen, hardest working people you've ever seen, you witnessed how hard your parents work. And they pass away, and there's nothing.
Nothing.
Man.
Nothing. I
can only imagine. It's would you describe that as like a double knockout punch almost?
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. And just what the family had to go through, especially my wife, just mentally, just having to deal with that. And I remember sitting there at the table when we got the news, like, man, we got something got to change. Yeah. And I just remember praying, and
so you pray?
Yeah.
I hope y'all listening, man. There's something, like, as we talk to these gentlemen, you're gonna notice a pattern. Matt and I talked about it last night, but you're gonna notice a pattern. And I want people to really hear, the pattern, right? But continue. Continue.
100%.
Yeah.
So I prayed about it. I said, God, I don't know what you got in store for me and the family, but I need something different. And literally 2 months later, after losing my mother-in-law, the career that I'm in now in PHP literally walked in my life.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Sometimes, folks, all you got to do is say a prayer.
That's it.
I'm so serious. Like, sometimes all there is to do is say a prayer, and so here you are now at PHP, and high value earner, married, man. Would you say you're happily married, sir?
100% happily married.
Wow, he said 100%. Okay.
My best friend.
Would you say that you feel like you're healthy? In terms of, like, you can take care of yourself, your well-being?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, of course, we always like to be a little bit more fit, but
Right.
but definitely healthy and blessed.
All right, got you. And would you say that you feel in spiritual alignment today?
Yes.
Well, all right. That's one story. So introduce yourself to the audience.
Man, Lionel, first off, thanks for having me here in Murder
Absolutely.
Mediocrity. Love it. My name is Victor Landor. Come from the the mean streets of Chicago, Humble Park to be exact. Park that's not humble at all. Grew up watching my mom and dad work hard. My mom been in education since kindergarten. She's fast forward. She's a registered nurse, double masters. My dad's he's a warehouse manager of forklifts. He oversees a group of forklifts in the warehouse, and he just recently became a landlord. So he's looking to transition to become full time.
Yeah.
I grew up. My meal ticket was supposed to be basketball. I was blessed. Watching, idolizing Michael Jordan. That's who I looked up to. That's what I thought my meal ticket was. I was blessed to become 6'4". So
that is a blessing, man. So we were talking to Maurice, right? And that one of my prayers was, Lord, give me 2 more inches. I didn't even want 6'4". I wanted 6'2". Just give me 2 more inches, Lord.
6 foot mark.
Yeah, but you know what? He knew that wasn't aligned with my purpose. So he was like, nah. And this is the interesting thing. When I honestly believe that when the Creator doesn't answer prayer, it's because, hey, you're supposed to be in this lane, right? And when he does, it's because this is the lane you're supposed to be in, right, Maurice? So that's awesome. But please continue, man. Your prayers got answered for that.
Yeah. Man, shout out to the milk. It did the body good. But coming up and me pursuing basketball, I knew I had to have a relationship with the books, right?
Right.
But that was only good. I did good enough when the season was in, so I could be eligible to suit up. But once the season was over with, my grades were ground zero. So continuing to do that, I had that pattern. I had looks from D1 schools looking at me, giving me offers and things like that. But come to find out, I learned the hard way. They want you to be a book player before you're a ball player.
That's right.
So, I'm thinking I'm about to go to these big old universities, about to live that life. And then they say, hey, man, your grades are kind of like horrible, man. I'm going to tell you to take the Plan B route, which is go to junior college.
JUCO.
JUCO. We play ball JUCO. We turn the whole ball program around.
JUCO you play at?
Oakland Community College under Steve Pratt. He has a powerhouse full package athletics.
Yeah.
So we actually turned the program around big time because, bro, I'm telling you, in our practices.
What years were you at Oakland?
That was 2006, 2007.
2006, 2007. Yeah, y'all young, man.
Yeah.
We're like 1990.
Yeah. right. The 90s. Right.
Yeah. So, in practices, he used to develop ball players. So I played against the Will Bynums, a few names that's well known, and they used to demolish us in practice. But he was equipping us to play against a higher level. So when we played, we did our thing, and we turned the whole ball program around. 2 years straight, we finished second place in nationals down in Danville. Nobody remembers second place, though.
Yeah.
So now after the 2 years, I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to transition and further my education at a big university. Come to find out, nah, Vic, you still had that pattern in junior college.
The grades.
So I kind of had to deflate my hoop dreams, and around that time, Facebook had just hit the world. And
07.
Around that time. So before anybody could get a Facebook account, you needed that college
email.
.edu.
Yeah. So now I found myself comparing myself. Looking at Facebook, everybody back at home I just graduated with. They got cars, they got jobs, they got their own apartment, they doing it. And I'm thinking what am I doing?
Right.
So influenced over the internet, came back home, found myself living back at the house. Thank God, maintaining healthy relationships. I actually got a position, wait for it, y'all, a student aid daycare kindergarten teacher. It sounds so sexy, right? But nothing was sexy about it. So I was legally in the classroom, but thank God because I grew up in the system. So the teacher put me to the front of the class. She was in the back of the class, and she gave me all the lesson plans. Meanwhile, she's in the back playing Angry Birds, crossword puzzles, and doing
all the work.
Falling asleep, doing all the work. And I'm in the front of the class, leading the class. But, it's a female-dominated industry. But, one thing I really held near and dear to my heart was that these kids used to look forward to coming to the classroom because they didn't have that male role model at home. They didn't have that father figure, that big brother figure. So it got to the point where it was like, okay, I need to make some money. But now this is like a kind of a purpose I see myself in, right?
Yeah.
So I did that for 4 years, and I'm just like, okay, what's next? Hooping on the side, still my first love, playing ball. And then I remember I got a call one day coming to the office. And I'm thinking it was going to be a promotion because they seen how I was handling the classroom and, keeping everything going. They say, Vic, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what's going on, but the government budget cut just took place. And, we lost funding of grants and we can't afford to keep you on payroll. So I'm like, what does that mean? So, yeah, we got to lay you off. So there I am thinking like, okay, what's next? What's next? And then, power of prayer, I'm asking the man above, like, what's going on? I'm laid off as this kindergarten daycare teacher guy, and on the weekends I'm working at my auntie's shoe store selling shoes, right, Saturday and Sunday. So I'm like, I can't be the next Al Bundy just selling shoes, Something has to give. So thank God I got a call from my guy in high school, and what I used to do back in high school, I used to sell burnt CDs.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And my mom got all viruses out the world, right? So
downloading stuff, right? Yeah.
So I used to, sell CDs in the classroom, in the hallways.
Bootlegging.
Thank God for iTunes, right? But no, iTunes actually knocked me out of business because now everybody can
How about that? Right. Now everybody has the music, right?
So my guy called me, hey, Vic, man, I got an opportunity for you. Come check it out. In the beginning, I was blowing them off and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I got to see what else is out there. So I went out of my comfort zone, left Chicago, went into Oak Brook, riding around like, the hell, what's going on? Where am I going?
Right.
Seeing all these big different places. And it's like, I really didn't travel that much out into the suburb area. So found myself in Oak Brook, sat in a room, opportunity presented itself in an industry that I've never thought that I'll be a part of. But, as an athlete, you understand, you understand a coach, how important a coach is, a.k.a. a mentor.
Right.
You understand a playbook because before the season, you get this big old playbook. You got to learn the playbook.
Right, you got to learn the plays.
And I understand there's a system with business as well, and also teamwork, brotherhood. I understood that. So I'm like, wait a minute, what if I take my hoop dreams? What if I take my work ethic? Because in my eyes, all athletes are entrepreneurs in some type of way.
Yeah.
Because nobody got to tell them to wake up and go shoot around.
Right,
two
no
a
doubt.
days and
No
things
doubt.
like that. You
No
got to
doubt.
have that discipline.
Yeah.
So, that happened. And one thing I'm very grateful for is, like, I come from a family that, let's just say, lived that life. Whatever you think, that's what it is, right? But I always realized, like, look what that's getting them. Look where that's going with them. Look at the outcome to that. Do I want that? Or am I just going to walk that same path? And I knew if I would, I'm going to have what they have. So I decided to take a left turn. And, unfortunately, it was the way it was. But I'm grateful that it was like that because my family and those family members gave me, this is what your future could look like if you follow.
Yeah, no, and what I'm hearing is you have the gift of perspective. I mean, you can see and actually say, this is what's real. And if I stay on the path I'm on, this is where I'm going. Yeah. Do I want to go there?
Facts.
And no, I don't. Okay, then maybe I should make this turn and do something different. Worst case scenario, I'm hanging out with them. I love them, right? But that's not where I want to be. Let me do something different. Let me do something uncomfortable. I heard that.
Yes.
And I hope people are taking notes because the gift is in with these men's stories. And so making a choice to be uncomfortable, go to a place because you know how many people would have turned around driving, they get into the sub, they like, man, I ain't doing this. See, you got these white folks out here. I get pulled over. I'm not. Yeah. They'll turn around and go back home. Yeah. Because they get uncomfortable before they even walk into the office. Yeah. And so the fact that you pushed, I don't want to, just step over the fact that you pushed through that discomfort because you like, I got to do something different. Yep. I got to do something different. And I really do hope the audience gets that in your message. But please continue.
Oh, yeah. So I'm thinking I got to do something different. My family, they're telling me like, no, you the hope, basically. No, you go that way, you go that way. And I had like a big chip on my shoulder because, my mom would she has 5 kids. I'm the oldest of 5, right? And she always told me, school's the way, school's the way, school's. That was her philosophy, respect to that, right? But every time family members would come around, family and friends, I would just sit there, right? Kim, how's the kids doing and stuff like that? Either I'm sitting there or not. Oh, Marie, she's a nurse. She's a registered nurse. She's doing so good. I'm so proud of my baby. What about Kimberly? Oh, she wrapping up at Western Illinois University. She about to become a 5th grade teacher.
And these are your siblings?
Yeah, my siblings. And then, how Victor doing? He figuring it out. It's coming around.
Right.
So I used to
God bless you, mama.
Right?
So you had that chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big chip on
I'm
my
gonna do
shoulder.
something, man.
Yeah.
Right, no doubt.
And so I didn't, even though I knew I wanted to do something, I didn't know what it was going to be. So at the same time, I got that call to go out there, to see opportunity and things like that. I also had another call from my coach. He's like, "Hey Vic, I got an open invitation. There's a lot of overseas, over the waters ball clubs flying in to recruit, right? Because for those that's listening, Chicago is the mecca of basketball. And,
Yeah, no
talent.
doubt.
So they want to recruit. So anyway, long story short, I found myself at Moody Bible Institute, trying out hooping, and at this point, basketball is still my outlet.
Right.
Everything that's going on, this is my outlet. This is my escape. So
all the frustration in the
Yeah.
dunk, right? It's like
humbly sharing. I
I'm
did
sure
my
people
thing.
were catching it.
Yeah,
They're catching
did
that
my
frustration.
thing. Long story short, Los Bucaneros de la Guardia, the Buccaneers of the island in Puerto Rico, they had a conversation with me saying, "Hey, you are of Puerto Rican descent. It would be awesome for you to come out and represent the culture and also
Right. Represent the team.
Yeah, put the jersey on." And I'm like, man, I just seen this opportunity. I just got through watching 30 for 30, athletes going broke. Man, what am I going to do, if I come across six figures? I had them J's.
Right.
I was broke, but I had them Jordans. Vic got the Jordans, but he at the bus stop. So what sense is that making?
And we see it all the time.
All the time.
We
And
see it all the time, yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking, like, okay, if I get a six-figure opportunity, I don't know nothing about money, how to store, how to put it away, taxes, putting away, planting the seed for the future. So I don't know nothing about it. So I'm watching 30 for 30, and then I heard Coach, right, Matt, very grateful for this guy, when he was sharing not just opportunity, but, what business could do, how it could change your life, and endless opportunity. So I said, I think I'm going to deflate my hoop dreams, I kept that to myself. Because I knew if I was to go back, the people that's counting on me and
they'd be like, go get that money right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What you doing? Whatever the case is. So long story short, it was in me, right? I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell no one. And then we had an event at Lincoln House. And we had like a grand opening
Right.
of our business we were launching, right? So then I had grabbed the mic. Matt gave me, 2 minutes to share my story and stuff like that. So my family was there. We had over 100 people there, but personally I had about 20 people there, and it was a lot of my family. It was a big deal. So I'm thinking, look, this is going to be my way to tell them what I'm going to do, but what I just walked away from. So my dad's in the place, my auntie and all them. So I grabbed the mic and say, yeah, by the way, I'm going, full time, planting my flag here. I just deflated my hoop dreams, had an opportunity to play ball in Puerto Rico, but I'm not doing that. And I just remember holding the mic and looking. And I see all my family members like, and it's like, okay, now I really got a bigger chip on my shoulder.
You burned the ships, man.
Yeah.
You burned the ships.
Yeah.
No other way out.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure not a distraction, but I want to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. Hey, it's something else around people who live a high quality life. We heard consistency from you, but also this whole all in. Whatever we're doing, we're all in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're not dispersed and diluted. All in. And I really want, there's so much in you all's stories, which I love. I love the stories. And so now where are you?
Now, fast forward, executive vice president of the, fastest growing financial marketing organization in America.
Executive vice, man, how old are you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
35.
35-year-old
Yeah.
EVP.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah. A 35-year-old EVP. That's something.
Love, brother.
That's something.
Yeah.
Because you got VPs. You got, SVPs. Right? And then you got EVPs. And that's that's the highest executive position outside of an officer. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's love.
Yeah.
You married?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Y'all noticing something? Yeah. A little pattern here. Men. Hey, man, there's a lot of men who are afraid of marriage. And one of the things we're going to talk about in the second hour is this whole idea of how our partners have helped us build a high quality of life. Because did you do this all by yourself?
No. I think.
Let's just leave it there.
Yeah.
Thank her.
I was going to say thank my auntie for the shoe store opportunity, because that's where I found my wife.
Love that.
And the
Yeah,
Plot Dickens.
that's what it's yeah, love that.
Stand by for the pickup line.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you were, and where you are now.
Sure thing, man. Again, my name is Ellis Suazo. I'm originally from New Orleans, so I'm not from Chicago.
Okay.
I've been here for about 15 years now. So I was raised by a single mom. I was a teen parent. My father is also an immigrant. So my dad's from Honduras. My mom's black. And so parents split when I was young. Graduated high school. On the day I graduated high school, God bless my grandmother's soul, she told me I ruined my life. That's because my girlfriend was pregnant. And my grandmother was one of the first black women in the state of Louisiana to be allowed into the operating room to help surgeons perform surgeries. She was a surgical technician. Okay. Right? So I didn't have the grandmother growing up talking about baking pies and all of that kind of stuff that you hear. Yeah. Traditional Southern grandmothers, not mine. It was education, reading. 3 things I remember my grandmother teaching me. You need to learn how to read, type, and save your money. That's the 3 things.
Those are 3 good lessons, too.
Yeah, read, type, and save your money, right?
Wow.
So anyway, everyone's now counting me out because now I'm 17 with a pregnant girlfriend.
Right.
Right? And so there's like, okay, you finished high school. What's next for you? So I said, well, I'm going to show you. So I get into Southern University in Baton Rouge, and I graduate with an engineering degree.
Okay.
And the next day after I graduated, I got in my truck and I got on I-55 and I came straight to Chicago. No family, no friends.
Wow. What made you come to Chicago?
What made me come to Chicago is, I knew my degree in the South wasn't going to cut it. If your last name is not a Boucher, Lafouche, something like that in Louisiana.
Yeah, if you don't have a French last name,
you ain't going to cut it. You know?
Wow, okay.
So you either going to work offshore, which my Hispanic side did, right? My family worked offshore on oil rigs, and then either moved to Houston, which I didn't want to go to, and I worked shipyards. I did framing, so I did do the typical Hispanic work. I did do carpentry, things like that. I did do that. I worked on a shipyard with my uncle. That was hell, right? And I said, man, I don't want this, right? So that's why I went and really finished that degree and moved here, because I knew that the Midwest would have a better opportunity for me. And so I hopped into engineering. I finally get a start. No one tells you that you need experience to get a job. So Maurice was making $9. I graduated in 2008. All right, so I'm making $7.75
with an engineering degree.
With an engineering degree,
you just one up me.
You know, but I was working at Burlington Coal Factory. That's what I was working
in the South.
No, here.
Oh,
in Villa Park.
Oh, okay.
Right,
man.
Yes. Yes, I'm working at Burlington Coal Factory with an engineering degree. Right, so finally I get into a company. I work my way up. I meet the chief engineer of the company, and, I work my way up. He gets me into the engineering department. I start my journey excited, right? And after a few years of doing that, I realized I don't know if I want to do this for the next 30 years of my life, because this is miserable. All right?
Man.
And I started making 6 figures probably 4.5, 5 years after graduating college.
Okay.
All right. And so.
And what were you doing then when you broke that 6-figure mark?
I was in my engineering field.
Okay, you were in. Okay.
So I was in electrical engineering. Okay. I was a specialist in railroading. So I make.
Okay, got you.
Simply, I make sure trains don't crash. Right?
Got you. Got you. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get into that, but like Maurice said, I'm in an industry where I'm the only person that look like me when I walk into the room. Okay.
How was that?
It's like, what is he doing here?
Yeah.
Are you here to bring us coffee? Or something, that kind of look. But when I open my mouth, obviously, it's different, because they say, okay, he knows what he's talking about. He might know
something, yeah.
Right? But still getting those looks. And so I was like, I got to find something different. So, again, I did the same thing everybody else here did. Prayed.
How about that?
Yep.
How about that? We got a 3 for 3. hey, but hold on, real quick. We're coming to the top of the show. I'm gonna actually pause you there.
Okay.
At the prayer.
All right.
And I really want people to get this, because all too often we're depending on ourselves, we're stressing out, and sometimes it's as simple as praying for direction.
It is.
It's simple as praying for direction, but here's the other piece. These men, when they got the direction, they believed it.
They moved.
they moved.
God really used Matt as a vessel, because without Matt being submissive and being a vessel of God, I could have lost my marriage. You know, and the reason that being is because before I found the opportunity, found Matt, I was stuck stubborn in my ways, and I refused to grow. You know, and so that's a huge part. But again, you know, I found the opportunity and hopped on board, praying for that, and just was committed to now being different, because I saw, Lionel, you know, just what was going on out there in the industry, and I was, you know, in that career field. I'm like, I don't want that anymore, you know. And so when the opportunity, because so many people are afraid, right, to step out.
Yeah.
They're afraid to step out. And at that point, I was like, it was just one question, you know, what's the alternative?
Okay.
The alternative is just going back, working 36 more years.
Right.
And the other question I asked myself is, well, why not me? Because he's doing it.
So hold on a second, because this is big. Last week, one of the things we talked about, I shared the 10 reasons I believe most people don't know their worth. And I started that because I knew I wanted to talk about quality of life, and I have you gentlemen in the studio, and I wanted to expose people to individuals, men in particular, men of color, right, black men who have a high quality of life, because you know sometimes we don't believe it until we see it. Right. And so somebody, like right now, you're listening, but you need to see it. So go to @Coach Linnell Harris on Facebook so you can see these brothers, because it's something about seeing it too, right?
Yeah.
But what you just said shows me that you did the work, or you knew your self-worth.
Oh, yeah, because I found out if any time a company is willing to pay you 6 figures, that's not what they're making.
Hey, see, that's that right there. Boom. That right there. And if they're willing to give you a multi-million-dollar budget, must be something about me that I don't know.
That's right. So, you know, I mean, one of my positions was a project manager, and I saw the rate, and I said, I don't make that.
Yeah.
And so I found out my worth in the marketplace was actually $500,000.
See,
I'm not making $500,000. And I say, okay, let's cut out.
At the time, you weren't.
At the time, I wasn't, right.
Right.
I mean, you know, cut out health care, cut out vacation, whatever the case may be. The company is still profiting a lot on top of me, and I'm not getting half of that.
See?
So in that instance, I found out my worth. But see, most people get upset about the game. I didn't get upset at the game. I just want to learn the game.
So I can play it.
So I can play it and become successful.
That's right.
So here I am. I meet Matt, you know, 5 years ago, and I see him dressed good, looking sharp, looks like me, you know, young. He's got a Rolex on his arm. I saw that Batmobile parked outside. I said, "Yo, that's your car outside?"
Meekly.
Yep.
He was like, "Yeah, that's mine." I said, okay, it's got to be something to us. What do? We just have a conversation, you know, just have a conversation. I said, I'm on board, man. I just got a good feeling. I trust you. Let's do it.
Nice. And you made the leap.
I made the leap, jumped in. Guys, I mean, nervous, scared, you name it. My wife laughed at me. She said, you going to do what? She said, Lord, the devil's attacking my marriage. He wants to jump out of engineering and get into, you know, sales profession in the finance industry. Like, what's going on? It's just that my desire for something different at that point was bigger than my fear.
And here's the other thing, and I want the women who have good men in their homes to realize this. Like, when a man fixes his eye on something, and he was like, this is what it's going to be now, like, like, if he's a man of purpose and it's aligned with his purpose, you're not going to change that. But what I will say is, if you get behind it, will you all be blessed?
Yeah.
And I'm sure right now she's shaking her head.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
like,
she came on board eventually, and, you know, with her coming on board, you know, like you were saying during the break, I mean, our business multiplied.
Yeah. With her coming on board, you all's business multiplied. There's something about when two people are working together, man, husband, wife, that's a beautiful thing.
You know, one can reach 1,000, but two can reach 10,000.
That's right. That's right.
Boom.
I mean, listening to these stories, how does it make you feel?
I'm excited for them. I'm excited for them, and you know,
but no, I asked you how, not excitement, but how does it make you
me feel?
Yeah.
I'm inspired.
Yeah.
I'm inspired because you don't think that the things that you do really affect other people.
Yeah.
You know, because, you're going through the grind. And by the way, kudos to these guys because last night was closeout.
They told me 2 a.m.
They got 2 hours of sleep before they come in here. And
Yeah.
they're here, and they're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and ready to rock. Not a red streak in their eyeballs right now. But says some Visine. But it makes me feel excited individually. Excited for them, excited for me individually because we have so much more work to do.
Yeah.
There's so much more men out there that need this impact.
Yeah.
There's so many men out there in the grind and not happy. And, you know, we talked about this in previous shows, that just because you're in business with your spouse doesn't mean everything's all peachy.
Right.
I mean, effectively what you actually do, you actually accelerate. Mo, we were talking about this yesterday.
You accelerate
actually
conflict.
accelerate conflict.
Yeah,
and
you
arguments.
accelerate conflict, yeah.
Right? So she and I have been married 7 years now. We've been together for 10, but working together in business for a little over 6. So in other words, we have about 20 years of arguments already under our belt.
Right. But here's the thing that I think people need to understand about marriage, and I had to learn this in my first 2 years, and we could just switch the conversation to that, right? Because I think, in terms of, we talked about high quality, your stories really covered the gamut in many ways. I do want to hit spirituality as well, because I think that's really important, and also the key to a successful marriage. I really believe that's the key to a successful marriage. But to that point, I had to learn in my marriage, I avoided conflict in the first 2 years of marriage. And it wasn't going well. And I'm like, man, I'm not even picking fights. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even pointing at stuff. And it's always a problem. And my wife would be like, where can I improve? And I'm like, I mean, you good. Like, why we got to fight? You good, right? She's like, no, where can I improve? That would turn into a fight. Where can I improve, right? Like, you're not talking to me. And it was really like in counseling, in marriage counseling, where it was like, look, man, conflict grows. It grows the relationship. It smooths out those edges that really help you all function together. And I think as men, I don't know about you guys, but as men, sometimes we like, because I can't win an argument with my wife.
Right.
I don't know, can
Lose.
Yeah, can you win an argument with your wife? I can't.
Let us know when that happens.
Yeah. So then, as soon as there's some kind of conflict, we're like, woo. But what I had to learn is like, it's not about an argument. It's not about who wins or loses. It's about getting to that resolution. So I'm happy you. Yeah. And you said 20 years. I mean, that makes sense. Of
marriage, because, to your point, I mean, do you want to be right or do you want to be wise?
There we go.
I want to be wise.
Man.
It's just because you win, okay, you win. You beat your chest. You won an argument. Mm-hmm. She's going to hang that stuff over you for another 20 years, 30 years, right? So it's interesting how these guys have grown individually, just to watch them grow. I see when they first got started, they were trainees. They can barely spell the word entrepreneur. They can barely spell the word annuity, right? But Vic was boyfriend, girlfriend at the time, and Anna was doing whiteboard presentation. Every time she swung her hair around because she had such long hair, it erased the whiteboard. To see Jasmine the way she was, and it's here right now. I mean,
Jasmine is Ellis's wife.
Ellis's wife,
yeah.
And she's just soaring right now like an eagle. I mean, she's got photo shoots in Tulum. She's gracing, it looks like photos that would grace the magazine. Which, by the way, their marriage did grace the magazine. Their wedding photos.
Up, man. That's what's up. Okay.
And to see Maurices Story, his wife is a veteran in the military, and to see their marriage grow and what they've been doing with their family, the impact they're making. They were just featured on HGTV's House Hunters because they just they bought a new property. They're building their lives.
Yeah.
And we've had our ups and downs, and we've grown through conflict.
What car did you drive to the office in the first time? Right? And what car are you driving now? Let's do a quick one of those.
Stories about this.
Let's do that real quick. Who wants to go first? Maurice?
I guess I go first. So it started off as a Toyota Highlander. That got repoed. So for 2 years I didn't have a car going to the office, and no one knew it. And it went from a Audi A8, we call it large, right? And then now I have a Porsche Cayenne.
All right, Porsche Cayenne, my man. All right, okay.
So I pulled up in Matt's wife. Sheena called my car the cool college kid car.
Okay.
All right. I had a 2012 Dodge Charger.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
You know, red leather interior. Right.
Red leather.
You know, it's killing it. Right. And got banged up. Never got the door panel fixed. Had a big old smash on the side, man. You know, and then I finally upgraded, and I bought my wife first. A murdered out Range Rover, and I liked her so much, I went and bought me the tuxedo Range Rover.
Oh, so the pair.
Yeah.
The pair. I know another friend of mine, they got the pair as well, the pair of Range Rovers.
Yep.
Okay. All right, beautiful.
So I pulled up to the office in a Pace bus. Right? Took 2 buses in a Pace bus.
Pache. It's called Pache.
Yep. Then we upgraded to a Volvo, and now we're in a Porsche truck, Porsche Cayenne.
Porsche Cayenne, all right.
What was that little blue one you had?
Oh yeah, the Chevy Avail bumper was off.
Oh,
Used to park it all
in the back.
Used to park it all in the back. He didn't want nobody to know.
Why is Vic walking way to the back of the bike after the meeting, right? But that car was so small, he had to take out the front seat so he can sit in the back seat to drive the thing. His thing's so
wow.
small.
Wow.
6'4"
Give me
legs.
6'4". Yeah, the Avail is really small, man.
Yeah, I said,
Wow.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
We should sell those things in Enterprise.
Hard. Yeah.
Economy car.
Talk about economy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
You book the economy and you get an economy.
And I wanted you all to share that because there's somebody right now who doesn't see their way out.
Yeah.
And they don't have transportation, Vic, right? Like you. You know, or, you know, the car just got repoed. And they're like, man, there's no hope. And here you gentlemen are sitting here living a high-quality life because you had a vision.
Yep.
And that's what I get most out of this. Like in terms of, we're talking about the recipe for a high-quality life. We put some things out there, right? Vision, consistency, prayer. It's one of the other things that, you know, there's prayer, so spiritual life. And so let's talk about that real quick before we kind of circle back to marriage. What role did your spiritual life play in getting you to this point in your life? You know, high quality life. What role would you all say your spiritual life played?
Everything.
Big role.
100%. Man.
Yeah.
100%.
Give me an example.
I would say everything too, like bro said, but mine would be understanding seed time, harvest time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like understanding, like, you know, it gets greater later, but so, you know, most of the time people in that moment,
Yeah.
you know, they get so caught up in that moment that they don't even think for tomorrow. They don't even think what today's work can actually do for, you know, position.
So give us an example, because, you know, we're all entrepreneurs, and so we get that, right? I understand what it means to plant seeds.
Yeah.
And then, like, 5 years later, like, oh, hey. But give us an example of what you mean.
Like, for example, like, you know, making a decision to go opposite. You know, when a Friday night, Saturday, you know, friends are calling me like, Vic, come on out, man. We having a good old time. And, bro, in the back of my mind, I know they're having a good time.
Yeah.
I know it's a great time.
Yeah.
But I also got to develop myself, because I'm not just thinking about this Friday, Saturday night. I'm thinking about, you know, 5 years from now.
Yeah.
So these books and, you know, the depositing.
Planting seeds in your mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, even though I deposit in my mind today, it's not going to happen tomorrow or that next week or anything like that.
Right.
But I just know, and I'm you know, I'm a firm believer that in the future it's going to actually, you know, it's going to manifest. And, you know, like I was pulling up in the Chevy Avail. Hey, it's a Chevy Avail to everybody else, but it's a Rolls Royce to me.
Yeah.
Now, right?
It's getting me where I need to go. It's taking me to my dreams.
Yeah, that too. And
And, you know, to that point, that's what you just said is so important. Because I think sometimes we get caught up in what other people have. But we don't even realize what it took for them to get there. All right, so, you know, Porsche, Range Rover, Rolls Royce, you know. I didn't tell you, but we got a Porsche in the family as well. And, you know, but I don't pay the note. You know, I rent it. Right? But I'm still cheap.
or shall we say frugal,
right?
No, money smart.
Money smart. Money smart. There you go, right? Money smart. I'm like, I ain't paying this whole no, so we got it in the fleet for JQLR. But the whole point of this is the amount of work that it took, right, to get there. So people see it and they're like, oh, that's not me. They'll compare, but the idea that you're like, this is my Rolls Royce because it's taking me to my dreams.
Yes.
And so last week when we were talking about the top 10 reasons why people don't know their worth, you knew your worth. And because I'm in it, it's a rose. It's a rose, and I really want the audience to get that, right? This is not just about, oh, man, these guys are doing it, they're making money, but the lessons for where you were and where you are today, what I heard in that was self-worth. This is my Rolls Royce, and until we begin, for those of us who aren't there, until you begin to really think about it like that, like this is taking me to my dream, then it's going to be difficult for that dream to come to fruition. And so that was love what you just shared, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
And also understanding too, we a lot of people expect the turnaround so quick. But one thing I learned in the business, from my mentors and stuff like that, is things called back pay. So in the future, when things start to happen, what's going on? No, you put in the work for this.
Yeah.
You planted the seed for this. You went through the trenches for this.
Yeah.
You went through the trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
Understand, hey, this who I am today does not define me. This is not my final destination.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Just to add to the spiritual walk, it's different for me in the sense because I grew up in the church. So I went to church 7 days a week, right? And there was something every day. Monday night this, Tuesday this, that, and the third, right?
I know all about that.
Yeah. So I grew up like that.
Brother, yeah.
And, and I went away from, because people get caught up in religion and the practice of church, right?
Yeah.
There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I was into the ritual of it. And so when my girlfriend got pregnant, my mom shunned me. Right? And so my relationship became estranged with her.
Because it doesn't align with the ritual.
Exactly.
It doesn't align with the ritual.
So, but in my mind, it was like, well, how can I watch a woman all these years love everybody else's kid but doesn't love her own grandchild? Right? And so that took me away from the church.
Yeah.
But when I got here to Chicago by myself, I was placed in situations. The only way I got out of them was for God.
Yeah.
Right, and so that made me grow my relationship and understand that He was real because I had nobody here. I had no friends, no family to turn to help me out of situations. It was only because of Him, and that brought me back, which also is the way I got my wife. Right, because when I approached my wife, she said, well, I do Bible study. I think it was a Wednesday. She was like, I do Bible studies at Bill Winston Church, right?
Living Word, yeah.
Yeah, Living Word. Yeah. And so I said, okay, well, I'll go with you because I hadn't been to church in so long. I was looking for a home.
Right.
And so she said, really? I said, yeah, I'll go, which was something that sparked her interest even more because it was different.
Yeah.
Right?
Take notes, brother.
Got him.
After the Lord's heart.
That's right.
Wait, you said something really important, man. And as Christian men, we can get so caught up in the ritual, we forget what Christianity is about, and that's love. And it's love for everybody, no matter what. No matter what wrongs they did, no matter how much they disappoint me.
Right.
And I think when you get caught up in the ritual, we forget that it's really about love and connection. Love and connection to the Creator, and using that connection from the Creator to manifest more love. Yeah, that's the core of it.
Yeah.
And so
I think people get wrapped up too much at times too, trying to live a perfect life in that image when you're a so-called Christian, right? But you forget that in the Word that pretty much every person God used was imperfect.
Yeah.
Look at all the disciples.
Right.
They all messed up.
That's
well,
right.
I mean, all human beings.
Yeah.
And I think that we don't allow ourselves to actually have our flaws.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing that the ritual can hide, is that I'm flawed because I did all these. You can keep a ritual, a routine perfectly, right? And then that takes the eye off the fact that I'm human and I have flaws. And then when someone steps out the ritual, then it's lots of criticism,
right?
Not understanding, wait a second, there's some things that I'm not doing, that I'm not perfect. Just because I maintain the ritual perfectly doesn't mean I'm perfect.
If you look at the Bible, the first 3 chapters from Genesis, it's about the creation of God and the creation of man and woman and how awesome it was in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
But after that 3rd chapter, the rest of the Bible is how man screwed it up.
Yeah. The flaws.
And how to fix it.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at, our businesses, there's a lot of flaws that we may have grew up with and had. But also one of the things you can hear amongst these guys is that they're not out there to blame. They're not victims They're not.
That's huge.
You know, they just said, when you decide to become a leader, you give up the ability to become a victim.
That's right.
And when you hear them lead their offices, when you hear them teach and coach their people and educating people about finance and leading people through, because an area of attack of the enemy is through finances.
Man,
it keeps so many marriages down, so many relationships down. People separate. There's a big reason why siblings don't talk to each other anymore because of money.
Yeah.
They're playing offense. They're playing, to push back, the enemy's gates.
That's right.
into people's homes. And listen, there's over 500 verses about faith and prayer in the Bible, but over 2,350 verses about handling money and possessions. Mm-hmm. And when these guys are evolving and affecting those verses of money, and now, my YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, Seven Figure Squad. Every Sunday we do a proverb. We break down some form of biblical perspective about money and finance. And the biggest hate I get is from judgmental Christians. They're in there pointing finger at me. It's so easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich man getting to heaven. Money's the root of all evil. So there's so many attacks there. But our first response to them is, even as people stab us in the back or troll us or whatever the case may be, is love.
It's a mentality, because I think sometimes we don't understand how that mentality of money is the root of all evil is so wired in us to the point where we can't live high quality lives. And let's be clear, when you look in contrast at the Jewish community, poverty is evil. Mm-hmm. It's not money that's evil, right? Mm-hmm. They grow up. Now, think about this: to grow up being indoctrinated that if you're poor, that is the worst possible thing. That is you're close to the devil if you're poor. Yeah. And that is how the Jewish community is trained from a child. Yeah. So then we look and say, well, why do they own all these things and have all these things? Well, it's an indoctrination. Mm. And so in many ways, as a community, we have to begin to look at our own indoctrination and wonder why we look at scriptures like that, and we cast judgment on people with money versus getting curious about, well, wait a second. Yeah. Money provides resource. And by the way, Judas was the treasurer for the 12 disciples.
Yeah, he had the silver. Yep. Yeah, he carried the purse.
He carried the purse.
He was the one most qualified to be a disciple.
How about that?
But yet he was the
most hated.
he was the betrayer.
Yeah, and he was the betrayer, and in the end, he betrayed for money. And I think part of the lesson in that is, money is never the source. The creator is always the source. That's how we get our money, and we don't allow ourselves, because some of those scriptures are about greed. And so the warnings, warnings on greed, it's greed that's money. The problem.
Not money.
Not money.
Yeah, right.
It's greed that's the problem.
So many people forget that we serve a God of an abundance and says we're supposed to be the head, not the tail. But the indoctrination of just saying, God, just give me enough.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, God, provide me with the abundance, right? Let the gates of heaven open up and rain down upon me. That's what has been indoctrinated in other communities, right? And so, I can go down a rabbit hole with this, especially with just how we've been indoctrinated, just in history, based upon who brought us here. Right, and that's a whole different topic. But
they, in many ways, they infiltrated the religion.
That's right.
They infiltrated the religion,
that's right.
And they're being taught one way, and we were being taught another way. Yeah,
but we just got that curiosity that you said is just what sparked this right here. It's like when we were curious enough, we had been through enough to say, what's out there, what's different.
Here's the other reason why, and then I want to get back to marriage. The other reason why I think this is an important conversation when you're talking about the recipe for a high-quality life. Because when you have a high-quality life and you're thriving, your ability to help and support. Matt, if you were just trying to figure out how to pay the bills, you would have had no time for these gentlemen.
Yeah, forget about it. Exactly.
Well, number one, they wouldn't have looked up to you.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have been able to have the impact on their lives. That, by the way, you and I last night, we were talking about this how impact is exponential, right? So I help you.
Yep.
You help 3,000 plus people.
Exactly.
Right? And why how I think about my purpose is I really focus in on help supporting leaders.
Yeah.
Because when I support a leader, like for instance, all you gentlemen, hundreds of people that because Matt poured into your life, there are hundreds of people in the next few years, thousands that will be impacted by your life.
For sure.
And if you were struggling, if you were just trying to survive, if you and your wife were arguing about money,
That's good.
there's nothing you could have done for these gentlemen.
Right.
And this is one of the key reasons why anybody who's like, money's the root of all evil, is like, no.
Yeah.
It's when money is your God.
Yeah.
It's when money is number one.
Yeah.
And it's a misinterpretation anyway.
And I think you can struggle, but you have to find a way out.
Yeah.
You just can't be in this, this cycle,
Yeah.
this rat race. And that's what these guys are breaking up all the time. They're breaking that cycle. They're stepping in, they're breaking that cycle because they choose to not have that cycle to themselves. And these guys, their upbringing, there's a lot of cycles there that would have been very negative if they kept in their own self.
Yeah.
But they choose to say, you know what, my last name from this point going forward, you always say it only takes one person's in a family's bloodline to change that last name forever.
Yeah, man.
One person.
Yep.
That's them.
And not just that family's bloodline, but because of the kind of work you all do in life insurance,
Yeah.
the generations of your clients
Sure.
as well.
Sure.
Because I tell people all the time, we lost my mom last year, but no worries in terms of she left a legacy
Yeah.
that now we're just working to, put in place and in many ways make as permanent as possible, right? For as long as the earthworm is here, as permanent as possible, where she can help young single mothers and she can, they'll know her name, they'll know who she
for
was
sure.
as a result of that legacy,
Yeah.
right? And
Absolutely.
that's the beauty of the work that you all are doing.
Yeah.
Let's spend the rest of the show talking about the case for marriage. And so, in a future show, I don't know if I got the text message. I'm looking for Fenton. Text me back. If you have already, I apologize.
By the way, Fenton he's a brainiac. His status updates about money and
man.
He's great. Shout out to Fenton.
But I wanna have him on the show to him and I are gonna lay out the case for marriage. But this is the kind of like the like the pre-show where we kind of just touch on it. But we're all married. And we've seen how the women in our lives have, in many ways, we talk about having the recipe for a high-quality life. Right. I do believe the recipe for a high-quality life is also a happy marriage. Because if you don't have somebody to share with, male or female, I just don't know if you're hitting the same level of happiness or the happiness index, right?
Yeah.
And so as we think about this, how would you say, your spouse, and this is your opportunity to acknowledge her, has made an impact on your life, on your business, on who you are as an individual?
I guess I'll start. I mean, for me, it's life-changing. I met my wife at one of my lowest points in my life. And even when I got this opportunity, she was the one that told me I needed to do it.
Wow.
And I didn't have the confidence because going to entrepreneurship, as these guys will tell you, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But when
Takes
you really,
commitment.
100%. But I remember in my life, I had commitment, I had the dedication, I had the teamwork, I had the heart, the relationships, the focus. But when you really look at entrepreneurship, is the best to me because you're betting on yourself. And for me, if you're relying on a job on somebody else your whole entire life that don't really have the same buy-in as you or really care about you and your direction where you want to go, they just look at you as a tool. It's better to go for yourself in the first place. And my wife had to remind me of that. I remember sitting down in an interview with shout out to Juan Maldonado, just breaking down the business to me.
Juan, what's up, Juan?
Juanito.
Juanito.
I'm forever grateful for him. But he remember. I remember you telling me, he says, so, and I was like, I think about it, because as a man, you like, and I have my wife right next to me. And he made sure I brought my wife, and I'm grateful for that. And she's sitting there, she's looking at me, she sees how I'm lighting up, but I'm not seeing it. When he's telling me the opportunity, I'm like, this is it. But in my mind, I'm like, nah, I got to work tomorrow. I'm thinking about that. And I said, I'm going to think about it. He says, listen, hey, man, if you're okay with just working $12 an hour, then okay. But I see something bigger and better than you, man. But cool, we'll follow up. And I remember going to the car, and I was like, well, I don't even have the money to get licensed. I don't even know how I'm going to pay the light bill. And my wife punched me. And I'm like, babe, chill out, you know. I got to blink twice. I'm in trouble. And she's like, we doing this. We're going to figure it out. And I called him 7:30 that morning and made a decision and came into the office at 9 o'clock. I remember Matt walked in, 5 minutes after I got there. He's like, hey, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, man, who is this guy? He's like, you'll get to know him, but you got to put the work in. I said, cool. Anybody that can open the office up at 8 o'clock in the morning, I want to work. I want to be led by him. So, she was a big reason that had a faith in me. She says, Maurice, listen, I trust you. You're the head of the household. I'm gonna allow you to be the leader, take us to that next level, and get out of the struggle. And that was it, man. And we took off.
And I mean, the story. I mean, I'm sure there's a story behind that. I mean, you talked about having the car repo, nobody knew, going to the office, taking the bus, Ubering, I'm sure, to the office. But here you are today, man. All because of that woman. Anything you want to say to her?
Man, love you, appreciate you, Tori. I mean, without you, I don't know how I would keep going sometimes, and just all the adversity we've been through. Like I said, my best friend, she came at me at a time when I was at my lowest. She held me down. She always joked and say when we first met, she didn't know if I had a car because when I first date, I kept telling her to come to the house because I didn't have gas money to go pick her up. That's when I knew she was a real one. I'm like, I'm marrying her. I knew it before I even knew it. That she was the one because despite all the things that I was going through, my flaws, right? Mm-hmm. She saw past that. She saw my heart, my character, and she's the only person in my life that never questioned that.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And man. I'm forever grateful for her, man. And just like Ella said, man, our business, because it's a family business, would never be the same if she wasn't there supporting me.
That's awesome. Ellis, what about you, brother?
Man, what has Jasmine done? Oh, my goodness. Jasmine has forced me to grow and evolve. She has challenged me in so many great ways because I'm a stubborn Taurus, and my wife's a Gemini. And, if the wind changes a certain way, her decision changes, right?
Right.
And so, I admired that about her. She was always so free in the way that she thought and never was like just wanted. She rocks the boat. Mm-hmm. Jasmine rocks the boat, and she doesn't let people tell her what she can and can't do. She's always going to question something because she wants to understand. Yeah. Right? Clarity is big for her. Communication is big for her. And I was more of a person that just kind of followed and just kind of went along. But the biggest challenge my wife gave to me was she said, "You don't commit to anything." When I said I was going to bring this new opportunity, and I started to say, well, I committed to you, but I ain't want no problem.
Smart man.
Right, smart. Very smart. Leave that unsaid.
And so she challenged me in such a way, I was like, and that was obviously God using her again to make me grow and change and evolve, because if I didn't, she would have kept growing, I would have stayed stagnant, and eventually, that would have been a problem. That rupture there, Because many people, man, they just stay married just because of kids or,
right,
not really getting to know each other. And, that forced that change. And, just to the men out there afraid of marriage, afraid of commitment, afraid of missing out, you're missing out if you don't find that true companion, that you can share life with. And, I admire all of these guys, marriages sitting next to me because I know all their wives and all of their wives are great. And without their wives, we all know without our wives, hey, man.
Walk around naked driving trucks.
Hey, man. The funny story about Maurice, wife stuck with him through the repo and everything. You was already married, though, right?
Yes.
Jasmine walked up to my house when we were dating. I had eviction notice on my door.
Ooh.
Wow. You know what I'm saying? She was like, this was
yours?
on your door.
Wrong apartment.
I was like, don't worry about that, man. I paid them. Don't worry about that. She was like, what in the world? She was like, why did I stay in this dude? Finances messed up. But again, she saw something past, my flaws and everything.
That's awesome, man. Anything you want to say to Jasmine directly?
Oh, absolutely, man. With Jasmine, just thank you for continuing to be the person, love of my life. I appreciate you, and without you, man, I would not be the man that I am today. And I'm excited for the next 30, 40 years, man. However long it takes us,
Yeah, no
I'm
doubt.
excited for that.
That's beautiful. Vic?
Yeah, I can honestly say if it was, if there was no Anita, there would be no me. Like real talk. The day she came, the day I laid eyes on her, shout out to my auntie, because at City Sports, when I had walked away from the job, I came back to bring her lunch. And I'm telling my auntie, hey, auntie, here goes some lunch. But you, man, just breaking bread with her. So the bell rings. That means somebody's coming in. And I'm not even paying attention because I'm no longer working here. And she's like, hold on, mijo. Hey, how can I help you? And then I'm not even paying attention to it. So then my auntie looks back at me like, go help her. And I was like, I'm not even working here. What you talking about? She's like, go help her. I turned around, I was like, can I help you?
Like, hey,
That's my
right.
auntie Duce, right? And the first question I asked her, have a conversation. I was like, man, God bless whoever that individual is. That's I was trying to see if there was a guy in the picture or not. She was like, what are you talking about? I was like, whoever he is, God bless him, man. Because after the conversation, you got a great conversation, you got good energy. She was like, I'm focused on school. I was like, this is it. And I'm not just saying that right here to say that. Like, I knew that minute.
Isn't that
was gonna be
something?
my wife right there.
What about, did you all, when you first met your wives, did something click for you?
Oh, I knew I couldn't approach my wife when I first met her.
Okay.
It took me 2 years before I asked for Jasmine's phone number.
Wow.
Because I knew I had to come correct.
Wow.
At the time when I met her, my car had been repoed. I wasn't through.
Right.
Raise your hand if you ever had your car repoed.
Me and Vic. Vic's like, please, me and Vic are like, nah.
Hold up.
But he drove right. He drove. He had
the veil. He was like, stay small. He had the veil.
Right.
We jumped the gun.
Right. I jumped the gun. I had an F-150, man. But anyway, yeah.
And what about you, Maurice? Did you know, like, when you met her?
When I first met my wife, it was at a kickback, and she didn't even talk to me. I watched her the whole night. And I was like, she's just electric, man. Everybody wanted to talk to her in the room. Everybody spitting at her. And she was just in her element. And it's crazy. I was a promoter. So I just moved back, couldn't find a job. So hit the clubs, Green Dolphin. I'm promoting.
Oh.
I'm at Soundbar on a Thursday night. She's there. I said, hey, isn't you the one that was at such and such house? She's like, yeah. I was like, cool. Hey, man, I plugged it for another party that I was throwing on Saturday. In the process of follow-up, as a gentleman, hey, she's like, I'm about to hit, the late night spot, which is Green Dolphin. And I said, hey, text me and let me know you got there safe. She never did. I followed up. She had a car accident. So me, I'm like, hey, I'm on my way. She's like, my dad's coming. I'm not on my way. And I just kept following up. And through that became this connection that was unbreakable.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So, men, it's something, I think we know.
Oh, yeah.
I think we know when we know. I always tell women that, like, men know. Like, you knew, but you just didn't, I ain't
I
ready.
told my sister
Right.
that one time.
Yeah.
She was dating two dudes, just courting them at the time. I said, and she was like, I don't know. I said, when a man wants you, you'll know.
Yeah, you'll know. Ladies, listen to that. Anything you want to say to Anna?
Oh, yeah. And, man, power prayer, too, really quick. I actually, told the man what I wanted, what I was looking for. And, I wanted to come from a household where both parents are in the household, married, come from a traditional type family, educated, got a good head on her shoulders, has a little bit of chippiness coming from where we coming from. So when I seen that and she displayed it, I was like, yep, that's double confirmation, right? So, Anita, I love you so much, baby. You rode the train with me, you rode the bus with me. I always talked about what the future is going to look like, even though it was probably hard to see or cloudy. You rode it with me, baby. And like we always say with our cheer, our glass of champagne, put them up, look at the man and say there was no way out, but he gave us a way. So
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Much love. Matt?
Yeah.
What about you, man? Anything you wanna say to Sheena? People have seen Sheena on the show.
Yeah.
You all have been on the show together.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard parts of your story, but anything you want to say to Sheena in this moment, brother?
Yeah, my wife has allowed me to really, because I think I got it squared away, but she said, no, baby, you're not communicating. Sometimes she reminds me that I still got to work on my ability to communicate, because I think she's understanding it just by the way I am, my mannerisms, my assumptions, and that's actually helped me in my business because then I can connect and relate to other women and other marriages, and with my wife just going through me. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, it's a choice. I mean, when I first met her, I'm like, oh damn, she's like freaking hot as can be, but her looks got my attention, but her attitude and her character kept my attention and keeps my attention.
In that,
she hooks
would
me.
you all say that's true?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Because for example, a girl that could be an 8 out of 10, she could have a great character and she's a 15. Right. Yep. But a girl that's at the straight 10 hotness, as soon as she opens her mouth and her attitude and her character, she could be at like number 3.
Like a 2. Yeah, I'm like, And I think a lot of these new age women or girls don't get that. And it's like, man, so you got to have character. Men want a wife that has character.
Substance.
Substance,
Yeah, but my wife, she's put it all together. Create our business, model, working together side by side with her. She's got so many aspects of business I've never thought about before. The mother of our family. We're a blended family, but she's the mother. She's the mother of our family.
That's beautiful.
We're all getting together next week to. For those that don't pass this to my dad, but we're going to surprise my dad next week in Dallas. I got all the kids coming. The grandkids are coming into Dallas. So Sheena's orchestrating a lot of that. She puts a lot of things together, and it's interesting.
Makes it high quality, man.
High quality
Makes life high quality.
It's a great choice.
Yeah. It makes life high quality. Well, you guys know that I can't have you talk about your wives.
Unless you talk about Pam.
I gotta, because then I can't go home. So, man, I just gotta say, I prayed for the woman that Pam is. Yeah. I mean, she is everything. And I'll tell you, I'm sure some of you all in the dating scene, you're just like, I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to find it like that woman that is going to complete me, that woman that I know like fits me like that puzzle piece. And Pam was that for me. I remember the first day I saw her, I was on a date. I had a date. I had a date with me. And I walked into the event, and there was Pam standing there. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, who is that? I mean, I forgot about I forgot about my date.
1 second.
Yeah. It's like I had and I'm sure she saw me staring. Like, I was like, who is that? I need to get to know her. Fast forward, I end up getting to exchange information with her, with this woman looking over my shoulder, like, and Pam was like, nah. But over time, man, just, praying, God continually working on me. I had the opportunity to reconnect with Pam. And I remember the first date. I knew at that first date that she was the one. And everything that I was doing, any woman that I was, interacting with, I stopped it. That I knew I'm about to go all in here, place all my bets. And baby, man, it was the best bet I've made to date. The best bet I made to date. I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. And I can't wait for us to spend the rest of our lives together building a high-quality life with a high-quality family. I'm here today, you all, and able to do what I do because that woman holds me down. She makes me better. I wouldn't be the radio host I am today. I wouldn't be the coach I am today. I wouldn't be the speaker I am today because she's the one in the background who listens to the show and says that can be better. She's the one in the background that says, hey, let's take another notch, who just challenges me to really take myself, not just our lives as a family to high quality, but also deliver high quality products, and I love you for that, babe. Hey, my inspired peoples, Linnell Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linnell Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the